you good? All right. Steve Francis, TMO, Houston Push. All right. Can you go ahead and introduce who you are and what it is that you do?
How you doing? I'm Steve Francis, a full-time dad.
I like that a lot.
That's exactly what I do full-time. So
That's fantastic.
yeah.
Now let's redirect it. What would bring you here to the TBL Combine? What do you have to do with TBL?
Well, first of all, I want to thank God for everybody making it here safe in these troubling times, weather, COVID, and everything. For me to be a professional basketball player was, a dream come true. But with the TBL is another level. That this time I'm really teaching more about on the court life and also off the court life. So it's an extension of my basketball career, but in a teaching aspect.
So my brother here is a little bit younger. He doesn't remember you.
That's cool.
I do. I do. 100% remember you. What made you decide to get involved with a league like this?
One, Mrs. Magley, being a African-American female, a female African-American, to own a league with predominantly, of course, 100% male players, but to take that stand not against nobody, but just to be a groundbreaker, to own our own professional league. That, and along with the community aspect of giving back to the community. That's what I do also besides being a dad. I run the Steve Francis Foundation 24 hours a day. So it was very intriguing for me and to give other, players an opportunity to get seen to play basketball in the league.
So, yeah, that's the Steve Francis Foundation. How have you, through the Steve Francis Foundation, seen that Houston needs more of these hands-on deck for the community?
Well, like I said, over the last 10 years, we had Harvey, Ike. So I've been in Houston for 23 years, so I've seen a lot of the devastation from just, the weather. But then again, when you look at the neighborhoods where I go with my foundation, I'm in the hood every day, and I'm making sure that those kids are going to school with clothing and food and things like that. And for this team to bring that to a plateau and a platform and have some of my players assist with me going in the community, because a lot of these guys are like me. I got my GED before I went to college, so it was a tough road for me also.
Do you think some of those regions, talking about you're in the hood every day, are those some of the regions that are missed by other community outreach programs?
I think they're not missed. They're less funded and less aware of what's out there for them. Some of them don't have computers, electricity, as we've known for a while. Look at Charlie Bell out in Flint, Michigan. So we had a great conversation last night, even though Maryland's going to beat Michigan State today. But, we still cool. So
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%.
yeah.
Yeah. So you're in a big city, obviously. The Rockets are there, who you played for. But how does a new team, a professional team, fit in with a city with an existing professional team? Obviously, different league, but how does that fit together?
I think that's a great question. And just like Mrs. Magley said, we're a professional team. We're not trying to compete with the NBA. We're not trying to compete with the D-League. We are the TBL. So once we understand the players, the owners, that, we are who we are, we want to have our own identity. And that's something like me. I had to make my own identity, not being a highly recruited player. So it fits right up my alley.
What did basketball teach you through your journey that made you want to stay in it for so long?
I love it. It wasn't about it distracted some of the street. Like I said, being in the hood, it lessened my worries about, what would I do? So it gave me time to learn, life, meet so many people across the world, and to be here. And my kids will, they'll understand the journey that their dad had to take to get to this position.
Community outreach is really important, both you, your foundation, and the league. You go out there and talk to some guys you might want to bring to the push. What are you listening for or seeing when you're talking to them to make sure they're somebody that's going to be a force in the community?
I just want to just like me when I was getting interviewed by NBA teams, I just want to see what do they believe in. Like, it's not religiously what do you believe in. What are your morals? Do they line up with what we're trying to accomplish here? Like I just said, basketball is secondary. That's God-given gift. But you have to put the work in it to go into the community. On the basketball court, you can hide on the court because that's what you do regularly. But to change the narrative and go out into the community, can you also do that? So those would be some of the criteria that we'll follow with all our players.
Right, and so you might have a star on the court, but how quickly can team chemistry and relationship be damaged by bad attitude or somebody who's just not there in the community with you guys?
I just hope that the humbleness of myself as TMO will carry over to my team. But if not, we have a place for them, and that's not on our roster.
How does obviously there's some people out there with some experience, some other NBA guys out there, but nobody's going to argue your experience in the NBA compared to anyone else out there. It's not close, and they know that. And so how does that experience give you and the Push an advantage as far as telling your guys you're going to get exposure when you come play for the Houston Push?
Like me and Mr. Magley and Mrs. Magley discussed, I look to be an ambassador for the league in a whole. So I'm going to be traveling to other teams and, talking to them about life on and off the court, some financial literacy and things. So just by me just being a Houston Push owner, TMO, next year we'll be in Washington, D.C. with another team from my hometown. So it's instead of me going to the television and being a commentator, going to the TBL and helping these kids is better than that to me.
And so do you see how do you see the value of TBL in this whole wide world of sports? How do you see the value of this league? You're putting your time, your effort, your energy into it, and you're always already looking to the future and how you're going to help it expand. What is that value that you see so much?
It comes from my morals, like I just said.
Yeah.
It's not about I want to help somebody if I can. I had to get the help to get to where I am. And if you're willing to sacrifice to get to there, so why not sacrifice to help someone else get to there? And it doesn't have to just be about basketball and life, parenting, community. So all of those things that I touched on are some of the things that I have personal experience that I can really, spread on to other guys.
What's something about the Houston Push maybe we haven't talked about that other people need to know about?
One thing about the Houston Push, pursue until success happens. PUSH.
Ooh.
And we're pushing through everything. Stopped you with that one. You didn't even know what to say after that. But pursue until success happens.
Absolutely what happened because we were talking earlier about trying to figure out what Push was. Where did that name come from?
Yeah, because that's my life.
Yeah.
That is completely what Steve Francis does. And but it's similar to some of the obstacles in my life. I had to push. I had to, just like anybody, you have to dig deep down and get out your comfort zone. And those were some of the things that I was taught. And I'm not scared to listen to another person, regardless of age, gender, race, or anything. Knowledge is knowledge.
How are you going to use your story and your experience? Or no, to rephrase that. How important is the transparency of expressing your story or whoever's story it is to help these kids out there learn and get the most out of their opportunity?
I think great leaders do that from wars back in the 18 Civil Wars. So great leaders bring their troops prepared. And I learned that at every level that I perfected. I don't think anybody can say they did, but from what I learned, it's steady enough to instead of going 100, I'd rather go 55. When I was a rookie, sophomore, my first 2-3 years, it was 100 miles an hour. It was dunk, dunk, dunk. But as you get older, the knowledge develops, and I think it's helping me now in my career here.
We're going to close out in just a second. I have to give a personal shout-out to Ben Wiersma, who came to me one day at school when I was in elementary school and said, hey, do you know who Steve Francis is? He's amazing. So then I started watching Steve Francis.
Ben, what's up, champ? Thanks for telling them what the deal is.
That's awesome.
Or his crew cut with it without it.
Awesome. Where can people find the Houston Push on social media?
You can find Houston Push at Houston Push on Instagram. Our website is houstonpush.com. Myself personally, Steve Francis Foundation. Any request of some of the things, you can send email to stevefrancisfoundation.com. You can check us out on Instagram and maybe be coming to a city near you.
Awesome. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.